Okay, guys, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you take that $5 challenge, man. Very important. Keep this channel going. Light up that super chat too. You see, we had some issues last night. I talked to YouTube. They said that they should be resolved tonight. We'll see. But however, you know what this is about. You know what those things are about. So instead of just letting YouTube bully us and treat us like crap and just getting in the comment section and saying that's messed up, why not take the $5 challenge to support the channel instead of just saying, dang, that's messed up what they doing to you. Hey, man, that's fucked up what they doing, man. Take the $5 challenge. That'll piss them off. This right here is Deandre, a young black man who had a situation in South Carolina. And all of a sudden, everybody cares about Deandre. All the black people care about Deandre. Deandre. The only time they care about you, black man, is when a white man that did something to you. Or in the case of Dante Wright, a white person. That's the only time they care about you. And I'm not talking about just white liberals. Black folk. They don't care about you unless a white person done did something to you. Regardless of what you was doing. Now Deandre, you can look at his kicks and tell he ain't one of the homeboys. He ain't a stepper. He ain't a hot boy. He ain't a real one. He ain't a real nigga. He a fake nigga. You can look at his shoes. So I think Deandre, I don't think Deandre, it would be fair to classify Deandre as a thug. You can look at that look on his face. He don't look like the way he handled himself in this situation. He didn't handle himself like a thug either. Now, we're going to get into this situation in a minute. Okay, let me give you some backstory though, because you have to get the backstory about what's going on in South Carolina. So, a week and a half ago, I know you heard about this all over the sports center. I know you couldn't even watch sports shows without hearing them constantly talking about this ex-San Francisco 49er who killed 6 people, because the 5th guy who got wounded, he died yesterday. 6 people at a home in South Carolina. I know you heard about that, right? It was all over the news, right? 24-hour coverage of this mass shooting at a South Carolina home by ex-San Francisco 49er football player. Where he killed this guy, this beloved doctor, prominent doctor, very prominent. And I know people like, brothers is like, prominent? What you mean prominent doctor? Only people prominent in my community are entertainers and athletes. Well, in other communities, you can be a very prominent person in your community for being a doctor. Like you can go in any bar, somebody buy you a drink, go anywhere, everybody know you. That's how it is in other communities. So this guy was a very prominent doctor in this part of South Carolina. And he was killed, murdered. A black man kicked down his door, killed him, his wife, their 2 young grandchildren, and 2 unlucky men who just happened to be at the home working on the air conditioner. Had no relation to the family. They were just there to fix the air conditioner at the time that this brother kicked down these people's door and slaughtered their family. 6 people dead, 1 incident. So there's a lot of tension going on in South Carolina. People are a little wary about seeing random brothers walking through their secluded neighborhoods, because this happened in a very affluent neighborhood, Rock Hill. The area of Rock Hill. I forgot the name of the neighborhood. It just escapes me. I just did the video last week, but there's a very affluent neighborhood in the town of Rock Hill, South Carolina. And this guy and his lovely wife and their 2 grandchildren were executed, along with 2 men who just happened to be unlucky enough to be fixing their air conditioner at that time. And then the brother subsequently took his own life. Didn't hear people about this on the mainstream news media, but everybody in South Carolina knows this happened, and they're all talking about it. And they're all like, whoa, what's going on? Why was this not news? And now everybody's making a racial thing out of this situation that I'm about to show you. Fort Jackson confirms White Army Sergeant has been charged following video of him harassing a black man. A white soldier was caught on video berating a black man for walking in a South Carolina neighborhood on Tuesday. Today, about 40 protesters showed up outside the home of the soldier, shouting, "This is our neighborhood too." A white active duty soldier who was seen in a viral video berating and shoving a black man in a South Carolina neighborhood has been charged with 3rd-degree assault and battery, authorities say. Jonathan Pentland, a white U.S. Army sergeant depicted in a viral video accosting and shoving a black man in a South Carolina neighborhood, has been charged with 3rd-degree assault.
Wait, right now. Call the police.
Hey, they've already been called. They're just waiting. You know what? Maybe you should hang on a little longer. We'll see how it goes. Then we won't have to give the report by ourselves.
What is it you're doing here?
Then walk. Well, you've been here like 15 minutes now.
Let's go. Walk away.
Keep walking.
Walk away. Alright, walk. Walk away right now. You need help? I'm happy to help you. I didn't hit you. There's a difference between
Pretty sure you were the aggressor, buddy.
You're aggressive on the neighborhood. Someone came running in.
Walk back.
Now, everybody's upset about this push. The push that shook the world up. Everybody's talking about this. I mean, Congress people, senators, everybody, all the activists, of course. What would have happened to Deandre if he had been in a black neighborhood? And I ain't talking about on no blood and Crip wearing the wrong colors. I'm just talking about being in the hood, in a black neighborhood, and the local dudes around there or a local guy from around there tells you to leave. One time, and you don't leave. What would happen to Deandre? With his Vans on and his non-name brand clothes on and his passive demeanor. What? And this happens once in a blue moon in white neighborhoods where you're a black person walking through and you get into it with a white guy. Now, we don't know what started it. Of course, you know, Deandre didn't do nothing. Even if we find out Deandre did something, they're going to say he didn't do nothing. Or it didn't warrant this reaction. However, that's fine. And I'm not here to, you know, say that Deandre deserved to be treated like this. But what I'm saying is, this happens a million times a day in the black community, where some black person is walking through another black neighborhood, oftentimes 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away, and he not welcome there. But most black people know they not welcome in other black neighborhoods, so they don't go there unless they know people. So you got that. But this is a very, very rare situation. This situation right here almost never happens. But we're getting to see a brother who is obviously not a thug, not a hoodlum, not a gangster, not even what I would say is a homeboy. Because if he would have pushed me like that, my first instinct would have been come back with a right hook. Now, this is a big guy, but I mean, I guess Deandre's a little guy. So this is a big guy. Deandre's a little guy. And Deandre's not, you know, he ain't about that life. Which is not a bad thing, because that life leads to a lot of things. But this is a very, very rare. This almost never happens. It's interesting that there's a whole channel, a whole website called WorldStar, where there's videos, 100 videos, 50, 100 videos of this uploaded every day, where black people are kicking other black people's asses. I mean, stomping them, their brains in, picking up trash cans, throwing them on their head. But this is the one that went viral.
Walk away. You walk. You're aggressive on their neighborhood. Someone came running out. You better walk away. You walk away. You're talking to my wife right now. That's your wife? Walk away. Walk away. Check it out. You either walk away or I'm going to carry your ass out of here. What do you want to do? Or what? What are you going to do? Let's go. Walk away. I didn't do anything. I'm about to do something to you. You better start walking. You better start walking right now. You come after me like that? I ain't coming after you. You're in the wrong neighborhood, motherfucker. Get out. Get out. Where? Where's your house? What's your address?
Maybe we should walk you home.
Walk you home? Well, you bet. You want to bet what I can do? I live here.
Okay,
right now, you're harassing the neighborhood.
I'm not harassing anyone walking to the neighborhood I live in.
Where? Check it out. We are a tight-knit community. Okay. We take care of each other. A hell of a lot longer than your ass, because I have never seen you before in my life.
How long have you been living here?
Why does that even matter to you?
How long have you been living here?
Doesn't matter. You know what? Get the hell out of my face. Get out of my face.
You walked up to me.
Check it out, motherfucker. I ain't playing with you. You either get your ass moving, or I'm going to move you.
You smell strong.
You want to bet? I'm about to show you what I can do. You better walk away. Walk away. Walk away.
I'm walking. You keep following me.
Now, who thinks Deandre is scared? I want to do a test right here. I want to know who I'm dealing with. Who thinks Deandre is scared? Hit one if you think Deandre is scared that something bad is about to happen to him. That he's going to die or something. He's going to become a statistic. Who think Deandre is scared? Hit one if you think Deandre is scared. Because I hear this a lot of times with our people, especially the ones who know better. When you scared, you get the hell up out of there. But somehow when we get on Twitter and on Facebook and on TV, we say when you're scared, you fight with the cops. I was scared of the cops, so I grabbed his gun. I punched him in the face. I took his taser because I was scared. If Deandre was truly scared, if Deandre was around any neighborhood where I lived in, where I ever lived in, and one of the dudes came out and was like, yo, man, get out of here. Deandre, and I'm not talking about some gangster or thug or something like that. Deandre would have left. Soon as they said boo, he would have left. Deandre ain't scared nothing gonna happen to him. He know this white man ain't gonna do nothing. Deandre ain't scared. And you know how we know he ain't scared? Because his ass ain't leaving. Because when you scared, the fight or flight instinct kick in. We obviously know the fight ain't kick in because the dude pushed him. And he ain't do nothing. And the dude all up in his grill and he ain't doing nothing. And the dude wolfing all in his face and he ain't doing nothing. And his girl's around and he ain't doing nothing. So we know the fight instinct ain't kick in. So then there's only one other instinct, flight. Well, obviously the flight instinct ain't kick in. So Deandre just a passive guy, but he not scared. He ain't scared at all. He ain't worried one bit that anything gonna happen to him. And don't tell me about no cameras. Because we see incidents like this in the hood every day where it's cameras and motherfucker pull out a gun and start shooting. Or motherfucker will beat your ass for 45 minutes on camera. Women, men will beat up women and all types of stuff. So Deandre ain't worried. He ain't worried at all about this white man doing nothing to him. He ain't scared at all.
Walk away.
I'm walking. You keep following me, sir.
There's only one way out of here. It's right over there.
There's multiple ways out of here, sir.
You want it bad? Walk away.
In your yard, man. I'm out on your territory at this point. Come on. We want to talk to you.
Talk to us.
We just want to talk. We want to understand something. That's it.
No justice, no peace.
Come on, man. Order. What you gonna do? You gonna stay here every day? I'm out in your yard, man. I'm out on your territory at this point. Come on. We want to talk to you.
Talk to us.
We just want to talk. We want to understand something. That's it.
No justice, no peace.
Come on, man. Order. What you gonna do? You gonna stay here every day?
Okay, so black folk decided to go to the soldier's home and camp outside his home and yell at him and tell him to come outside. Because, you know, they care so much about Deandre now. Deandre couldn't get a date in no black community. It ain't one black community Deandre can get a date in. Now you got sisters outside this white man's house yelling at him over Deandre. And they've amassed a huge crowd outside of Soldier Officer Pentland's home. It looked like it's a whole bunch of Negroes out there, man. God damn. And that's some Negro. This ain't white liberals. These is Negroes. This ain't how it usually be when a cop shoot. This is Negroes outside this man's house. Come on out here, cracker. We here for Deandre, our boy Deandre that we care so much about. So, Army Sergeant Jonathan Pentland feels the need to harass Deandre in Columbia, South Carolina because he was walking in his own neighborhood. This brings back memories of Trayvon Martin, shaking my head. This young man, Deandre, lives in the neighborhood. He was recently diagnosed with cancer. That's deep, man. He was walking with two females who were Caucasian. I told you Deandre couldn't get no date. Ain't no sister dating that dude, man. That dude got on the wrong tennis shoes, man. And I'm not saying that sisters is wrong. He might just not be like. If you a sister and you live in these wicked, violent war zones that most sisters live in. A guy like Deandre, he can't protect you. So we gotta give sisters a break with that. And salute Deandre for going where he can get some love at. But sisters can't date no guy like Deandre living in no damn war zone. You gonna let a man come up and push you? She need a brother with that MAO warrior gene. That's ready at all times for some shit to kick off. Cause Sergeant Pentland would have had a bad day had he ran into a lot of brothers. It's a lot of brothers Sergeant Pentland would have ran into. He might have overpowered them and put them in a chokehold or something. Sergeant Pentland would have had to kill a lot of brothers. There's a lot of brothers Sergeant Pentland would have had to kill. He picked the right one. I will say this. Sergeant Pentland picked the right one. But this woman says, this young man, Deandre, lives in the neighborhood. He was recently diagnosed with cancer. He was walking with two females who were Caucasian and was stopped by a woman, her husband, Army Sergeant Jonathan Pentland of Columbia, South Carolina. The couple was not concerned with the two white girls he was with, but told Deandre that he didn't belong in their neighborhood because of the color of his skin. Well, we didn't see that, but we didn't see them say that, so I can't say that. But I did hear him say he didn't belong in the neighborhood. I didn't hear him say it was because of the color of his skin. And, well, it's implied. Well, okay, you want to start implying? You want to play the imply game across the board? Okay, so this is at the Lakes at Barony place. And this woman says she got these screenshots from the Lakes at Barony place. That's crazy. The Lakes at what was that neighborhood Trayvon got killed in? It was the Lakes at something. I forgot the name of that neighborhood. Twin Lakes or something. But anyway, the lady who posted this, Kimberly Hernandez, is the lady seen to the left of the screen in the gray shirt and green shorts of the initial video. After talking to individuals that actually live in the neighborhood, this is what the story is. You about to get an Ock Nation exclusive. Okay? Ock Nation exclusive. No BS from these other channels, man. The real deal, man. Deandre, a young black male, is from the adjacent neighborhood. Oh, okay. So I mean, listen. Technically, he not from that neighborhood. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be able to go through there. I'm just saying, like, y'all be now, because their stories always fall apart, and then just like the whole air freshener thing from Dante Wright, the air freshener, and then you get all riled up about air fresheners, and you taking all that stuff out of your car because you think they pulling over black people for air fresheners, then you find out, well, it wasn't over air fresheners. So, Deandre, who we were first told lives in that neighborhood, he does not live in that neighborhood. Okay, but he lives in the adjacent neighborhood. Now, did it mean adjacent, like one over? Do they mean 50 miles away adjacent, like they be saying in these, or they mean like 20 blocks away adjacent? Like, we can never trust this stuff, but we'll go with it. We'll just assume that they say he doesn't live in that neighborhood, but he lives in the adjacent neighborhood. Fine. And they both belong to the Summit community. Deandre has actually been a member of the community longer than the White family yelling demands at him. Kimberly has a daughter and a grandson. Apparently, Deandre often walks with her daughter, and Kimberly does not agree with them being friends. Oh, okay, so this is not just some random situation where some random white guy just hopped up out the bushes like, yo, nigga, get out of here. So there's history between these people. Oh. Okay. So the white woman you saw in the video, That's her granddaughter. That's walking with Deandre. I guess she's one of the women recording. Or one of the women standing off the screen. So Kimberly has a daughter and a grandson. Apparently Deandre often walks with her daughter, and Kimberly does not agree with them being friends. Deandre was seen touching and playing with the grandson while he was in the stroller, and Kimberly approached him and told him not to touch the baby. Now, was that because he's black, or was that because she didn't want her granddaughter hanging around this guy for whatever history they got? Could they possibly have a history to where the mother doesn't like Deandre for another reason besides the fact that he's black? I don't know. And these are questions nobody's going to ask except for us. So make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that PayPal, hit that Cash App, and share these videos. So there's history here. Deandre, she don't like Deandre. Okay, the grandmother don't like Deandre. And that was the woman we saw in the video standing off away from Sergeant and Deandre when they were arguing. So Kimberly after she told Deandre not to touch the baby, she wanted him to leave, so she started to scream for help as if someone was attacking her. Oh, so you're Army Sergeant. Listen, this makes perfect sense now. You're an Army Sergeant. You're in your neighborhood. An affluent neighborhood, suburban, one way in, one way out neighborhood. I don't know if they have a checkpoint, a gate or anything, but one way in, one way out neighborhood. And a neighbor, a woman, is screaming bloody murder. And you're in the goddamn army. You've been over in Afghanistan and Iraq and shit. Chasing around enemy soldiers and dodging IEDs and jumping out of helicopters and jumping out of planes and whatnot. And you in your house and you hear a neighbor screaming bloody murder. If you're a soldier, you better get your ass up and go find out what's going on. So this guy was thinking he was being a hero. Oh, man. Regardless of what the woman was, if she played up the situation, regardless if she did the whole woman in distress thing, damsel in distress thing, the soldier's in his house, he doesn't know that. He just hears a woman in his neighborhood screaming bloody murder. Well, if he was black people stand out, black, it got nothing to do with me. I ain't gonna lie to you. Black folk is standing, it got nothing to do with me. You just thank God if the black folk call the police. Sisters, get in the comment section. You in a black community screaming bloody murder like that woman at the Harlem liquor store. Crowded Harlem. Busy intersection. 6 o'clock. Harlem, New York, Manhattan. Being attacked by a group of black men. And happens every day. They wanted to act that the reason that one was egregious because he bit her eye out. Had he not bit her eye out, that wouldn't have made the news. It happens all the time, every day. New York, Atlanta, DC, Baltimore. Sister, how many black men would you outside screaming bloody murder, not like this white woman, but justifiably, like a nigga on you. A nigga on you, he hitting you with body shots like Joe Frazier, because that's how they do. and you screaming bloody murder, and you in a busy place. You not in a cul-de-sac where you in a busy place. Hit one if you think a brother gonna jump out and be like da 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 to your rescue. Hit one if you think a brother will jump out there to your rescue. Da 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 da. What's the odds of that? So, this woman, Kimberly, who started it all, who didn't like Deandre dealing with her granddaughter, didn't like Deandre dealing with her daughter, didn't like him touching her grandkid, saw Deandre touching the grandkid, approached him about it, told Deandre stop doing it, then started screaming like a wild banshee. And then the soldier who's in the neighborhood, in his house, hears this, comes out with no shoes on. He didn't even put no shoes on. He heard a woman screaming and jumped up into action and ran out the house with no shoes on. Sisters, how many of y'all would get this treatment? You screaming bloody murder. It's a man really attacking you. You're not thinking like this woman, like Kimberly. You really getting attacked. What's the odds of brother gonna come in? Da, 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 da. I'm here to save the day. It ain't gonna happen. You know goddamn well it ain't gonna happen. So, salute to Jonathan Pentland, man. True American hero, man. Too bad he gonna lose his job and be branded a racist for the rest of his life. But true American hero, because he didn't know that this woman was full of shit. And then maybe we'll find out that Deandre did. We don't know, but right now we give Deandre the benefit of the doubt because Deandre he seemed like a very passive dude. He don't look like he want no smoke with nobody, even a woman. Very mild-mannered guy. He don't look like the type of... Deandre do not seem like the type of guy that would be jumping on no woman. I will give Deandre that. Now, Deandre, I'm sure he'll fight if he has to. If you push him to the limit, he'll fight you. But you got to push him to the limit. So this woman goes on to say, Kimberly wanted him to leave, Deandre. She wanted Deandre to leave and started to scream for help as if someone was attacking her. A modern-day Carol Bryant. What have I told y'all about the role white women play in all of this? Damn, that was racist. I wonder if she's going to get her Facebook account. I wonder if she's going to get her Facebook jail. And her husband's friend, Jonathan Pentland, came to her rescue. So her husband wasn't home. The husband's friend. So I'm in the house. I hear my friend's wife screaming bloody murder. Yes, it comes out later that she's not really in trouble. But the moment I hear it, my friend's wife screaming bloody murder. As a man, if my wife was in that situation and you my friend, I would hope that you would come to her aid. Fellas, you not home. Your wife screaming bloody murder. Your homeboy right there. How many of y'all would still be friends with your homeboy if he was like, ain't none of my business. Ain't got nothing to do with me. How many of y'all still be friends with that dude after that? So this is where the video picks up. Right there at that moment after Sergeant Pentland, Jonathan Pentland, was in his home, minded his business, and he heard his buddy's wife screaming bloody murder from the street.
Go away right now. Call the police.
Hey, they've already been called. They're just
I'm
waiting.
taking 5
You know what? Maybe you should hang on a little longer. We'll
Let's
see
go.
how it goes. Then we won't have to give the report by
What
ourselves.
is it you're doing here?
Then
And
walk
walk.
out. Well, you've been here like 15 minutes now.
Let's go. Walk away.
Keep walking.
Walk away. Walk away right now. You need help? I'm happy to help you. I didn't hit you. There's a difference between
Pretty
pushing
sure you were the aggressor, buddy.
You're aggressing on the neighborhood.
Someone came running in.
Walk back.
You better walk away. You walk away. You're talking to my wife right now.
That's your wife?
Walk away.
I didn't do
Walk
anything.
away.
Your wife can speak.
Check it out. You either walk away or I'm going to carry your ass out of here. What do you want to do?
Better not touch you.
Or what? What are you going to do?
You walk on me.
Let's go. Walk away.
I didn't do anything.
I'm about to do something to you. You better start walking.
I didn't do anything to her.
You better start walking right now.
You come at me like that?
I ain't coming after you. You're in the wrong neighborhood, motherfucker. Get out. Get out. Where? Where's your house? What's your address?
Maybe we should walk you home.
Walk me home.
Oh, you bet. You want to bet what I can do?
I live here.
Okay,
Right
what's
now,
your
you're
address?
harassing the neighborhood.
I'm not harassing anyone walking through the neighborhood I live in.
Where? But check it out. We are a tight-knit community. We
How
take
long
care
have
of
you
each
been
other.
here? How long have you
Hell of a
been
lot longer than your ass, because I have never seen you before in my
How long
life.
have you been living here?
That's
Why
none
does
of
that
your
even
business.
matter to you?
How long have you been
It
living
doesn't
here?
matter. You know what? Get the hell out of my face. Get out of my face.
You walked up to me.
Check it out, motherfucker. I ain't playing with you. You either get your ass moving or I'm going to move you.
You smell strong.
You want to bet? I'm about to show you what I can do. You better walk away. Walk away. Walk away.
I'm walking. You keep following me, sir.
There's only one way out of here. It's right over there.
Multiple ways out of here, sir.
You want to bet? Walk away.
I've got all kinds of issues in my district because of an incident that happened yesterday. Some of you may have seen the video that went viral. It was of a young African American man and a white man. The young African American man was standing on the sidewalk, was walking down the street when he was accosted by an angry white man and pushed and demeaned and publicly humiliated and could have been killed. For what? For walking down the street while black. If you don't believe that race-based hate is real, you don't have to come to my district to see it. All you have to do is turn on the news. Every single day.
All right, that was State Senator Mia McLeod, and that's her district. She wants you to know that race-based hate is real, and she got all type of issues in her community. So I decided to look at the gun memorial. So this is everyone killed by a gun in Columbia, South Carolina, as of today. So of 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, there's a 2-day lag on this because they have to confirm everything. So Charlie Sonny Jackson, he was sleeping in his bed. You remember, guys, I did the video last week. Brother was sleeping in his bed. Sleeping in his bed when some hooligans came by shooting up the block. A bullet went through the siding, went through the drywall, and struck Sonny Jackson and he died in his daughter's arms. This happened in Columbia, South Carolina, Miss Mia McLeod's district.
In our crime alert tonight, a Columbia woman was dodging bullets flying inside her home, then held her father in her arms as he was dying. Well, a witness says it happened after someone fired shots into her home on the 200 block of DeVoe Drive that happened earlier this morning. Well, that's not far from Two Notch Road and Columbia Place Mall. Our Lauren Adams tonight spoke with the victim's daughter, who says that she hopes they find her father's killer.
Family members are still gathered outside the home where the shooting happened, and they tell me they want to know who would have done this to a man they say was loved by all. Here is a picture of 64-year-old Charlie Jackson Jr.
Everybody loved my daddy. Like, see, all the people out here, the whole neighborhood loved my dad, and a lot of people knew him.
He was gunned down inside his DeVoe Drive home around 2:45 Tuesday morning. Tamira Jackson was inside the home with him and heard it all.
It's like I can feel the windows shaking. So it's like I know it wasn't like somebody was trying to do damage.
Investigators were on scene Tuesday trying to find out who is responsible. Detectives say the gunshots came from the roadway.
I don't think nobody was in the car. I think somebody was on foot because I didn't hear no cars, see no lights or anything. And I was looking out the window.
The whole family gathered around the home to pay their respects Tuesday and to find out who did this.
And they just really want to know what happened, and they want to make sure justice is served the right way.
Tamira Jackson told me she hopes an arrest comes soon. In North Columbia, Lauren Adams, WIS News 10.
And this investigation is still ongoing. If you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers, and you can remain anonymous.
Okay, and as you see here, Columbia, South Carolina is not a majority black town. 53% white and 40% black. That's a lot of blacks. Now, most cities you see where it's 10% black, the gun memorial is usually all black. This place is 40% black. And as you know, poverty in South Carolina is universal. It's some poor, toothless, drawn-faced, meth-addicted, robbing, stealing, in and out of jail, bootlegging, funny-looking, cankle-having, beer-belly, triple-chinned, drawn-faced, can't read, can't write, incest, baby, white folk down there in North Carolina. It's a whole lot of poor, busted and disgusted white folk down there in South Carolina. So poverty is not something that is exclusive to black folk. But poverty is a universal thing down there, even though everybody's not poor. So back to the Columbia Gun Memorial. Sadly, what I suspected is true. And you won't hear nothing from our friend Mia McLeod about this. You'll hear nothing from Mia McLeod that everybody on the gun memorial is black. And all these black people don't look like thugs, man. Because a lot of people like to excuse it. Well, that's just gang violence. That ain't true. All these people ain't thugs and gangsters, man. All these people, senior citizens, old people. But this is a majority white town. And what would we say, 95% of the people on the gun memorial 95% of the people on the gun memorial black. Not about 50% of them got gold teeth, but that's another story. You ain't just because you got gold teeth don't mean you're a thug. That's a style. That's fashion. Goodness gracious. Yikes. Look at all the kids. So Mia McLeod Bethune, she ain't got nothing to say about this, man. But she want to let you know about the Deandre. How many of y'all think if Deandre was on this list that Mia McLeod would even mention his name? Okay? So, Mia, seems like there's no protest about any of those murders, victims that we just saw. So it's safe to say that all of those black people on that list were murdered by the black people. Right, Mia? Or else you would have made a statement if they were murdered by a white person. We don't see any statements you making about any of those murders. And I checked. You haven't said anything about any of those murders. So it's safe to assume, chat, hit one if you agree with this, all of those black people were murdered by the black people. Okay? So, let's see, we've established who's doing the murder in your town. Now, I'm sure white people are doing crime too. I'm not saying white people aren't doing crime. But the murder, the actual murder, the ultimate attack in your town is being done by black people almost exclusively. And you talked about issues you're having in your town. There's another issue you're having in your town. Assaults on police officers. Now, who's doing this?
Its 2019 annual crime report shows the rate of law enforcement officers assaulted in 2019 rose 20%.
What we're seeing from the body cameras, not the officers, it seems like they're doing everything they can to de-escalate the situation, but it just seems to be the lack of compliance has become acceptable to your criminals.
Kershaw County Sheriff Lee Bone says the number of assaults on officers in Kershaw County rose from 2 in 2019 to 11 so far this year.
Small numbers, but 5 times as much so far this year. Still got some months left. It's not looking good, and it's just that lack of compliance.
The Richland County Sheriff's Department says their numbers are also up, with 99 so far this year compared to 67 for all of 2019.
I think we're going to see our numbers continue to climb just because of that lack of respect for authority. And it's not just us in law enforcement. You ask a school teacher the same thing, and they'll tell you that.
How many times have I told y'all guys this? Everyone wants to act like everybody's getting along with black men, young black men, except for police officers. If it wasn't for these pesky police officers, every person in the world, every occupation in the world we would have 100% great interactions with black men that were young or in that age range. But what I've been telling you for years is that lifeguards, librarians, managers at stores, security guards at malls, teachers, everybody has the same issues with this group that police officers has. But police officers get left out there. Everybody leaves police officers out there alone. You got everybody protesting. Yeah, look at the cop. You got a bunch of teachers down at the riot, at the protest. knowing goddamn well they got the same negative interactions with this same group. They can't get this group to listen. They can't get this group to follow directions. They get assaulted by this group. You got a bunch of security guards. You got a bunch of librarians. You got a bunch of bus drivers. Yeah, man, the police, man. Knowing goddamn well all of y'all have the same goddamn problem with this group.
I think we're going to see our numbers continue to climb just because of that lack of respect for authority. And it's not just us in law enforcement. You ask a school teacher the same thing, and they'll tell you that.
The report also shows the rate of homicides went up nearly 7%, and aggravated assault 4%. Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott says it's part of a bigger trend.
Well, I think we're seeing an increase in violence. We've been talking about that for a couple of years now, particularly with young people. So young people with guns is kind of driving that.
The report shows the number of homicides reported by the Columbia Police Department spiked from 16 in 2018 to 29 in 2019.
I think we're going to see our numbers continue to climb just because of that lack of respect for authority. And it's not just us in law enforcement. You ask a school teacher the same thing, and they'll tell you that.
The report also shows the rate of homicides went up nearly 7%, and aggravated assault 4%. Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott says it's part of a bigger trend.
Well, I think we're seeing an increase in violence. We've been talking about that for a couple of years now, particularly with young people. So young people with guns is kind of driving that.
The report shows the number of homicides reported by the Columbia Police Department spiked from 16 in 2018 to 29 in 2019. Columbia Police Department officials say so far this year there has been 16 homicides. RCSD says they've had 15 homicides this year.
I think it's an overall lack of respect for anybody's life, and we're seeing that with violence where citizens are being killed, but we're also seeing law enforcement getting attacked.
I've got all kinds of issues in my district because of an incident that happened yesterday. Some of you may have seen the video that went viral. It was of a young African-American man and a white man. The young African-American man was standing on the sidewalk, was walking down the street when he was accosted by an angry white man and pushed and demeaned and publicly humiliated and could have been killed. For what? For walking down the street while black. If you don't believe that race-based hate is real, you don't have to come to my district to see it. All you have to do is turn on the news every single day.
So again, that begs the question, Mia. Since you haven't said anything about any of these murders, people dead, gone. Like this girl, shot dead in a drive-by with children inside the vehicle. Just driving the car with her kids. Dudes rolled up. Might have been her boyfriend, I don't know. But they wasn't after her. I looked into it. Dead. But you haven't said anything about any of these murders of these black people here on this list. So I'm assuming it just begs the question. Okay, so you said issue, you said incident when you talked about the incident with the white man. You talked about one incident, okay? And you said that was a problem. That was a problem, that the one incident you had. Okay, so if you had one incident and that was a problem with the white guy, what about all of these incidents that are happening in your jurisdiction? Look at all these faces. This place is majority white. The majority of the people living in your place is white, Mia. And we can go back anytime. Year and year don't matter. This has been the case in your jurisdiction since the beginning of time. But you're talking about one incident where a black dude got pushed by an army sergeant who came out the house because he heard a woman screaming bloody murder. He hopped up and ran out the house with no shoes on to address it. And instead of saying that that guy's a hero and he made a mistake and, you know, too bad stuff went left, is an honest mistake. He heard a woman screaming. It's just a messed up situation. You gonna get on the Senate floor and excoriate that man. But you ain't said nothing about all these. Every single person in your fucking town that got killed with a gun is black. Not all of them. I seen about 5 or 6 white people on there. Well, for all you guys who were wondering, Deandre, he's doing okay. Unlike many, many black people in Columbia, South Carolina, Deandre's doing okay. Seargent Pentland, he's not doing too well. He's got a rowdy bunch of protesters outside his house, peaceful protesters outside of his house, shouting for him to come outside. And they just want to talk. And he was arrested and charged with 3rd-degree assault and battery, according to the Richland County Sheriff's Department. The charge is also known as simple assault, is a misdemeanor with a possible sentence of up to 30 days in jail and a fine up to $500. Now, people are going to complain about that. They don't feel like he got charged and that he should do more than 30. Who believes that for shoving that guy, he should do more than 30 days in jail? Get in the comments section. Who thinks he should do more than 30 days in jail for shoving that guy? Considering all the murder and shootings that go on in that city. Just in that jurisdiction, not the whole state of South Carolina. South Carolina got some other way more dangerous places. But I just focused on Columbia because some of you guys be saying y'all get sad when y'all see the gun memorial. That's why I didn't do it for the whole state. Because the gun memorial for the whole state, just seeing that, if y'all get sad by the gun memorial, y'all can't see that much black death. The whole state, oh my God. Just this month, goodness gracious. Like, basically, like, more black people have been killed in South Carolina this month than by the Ku Klux Klan since like 1950. And I'm not exaggerating. So, he faces a possible sentence of up to 30 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Okay. He was released on the $2,125 personal recognizance bond, meaning he didn't have to put any money up. Okay, so he just got PR'd. That's what they call it, getting PR'd. And you guys see that woman with the green shirt and the neon shorts? That is Kimberly, the woman who's had the ongoing feud with Deandre over him hanging out with her daughter. She doesn't like him hanging out with her daughter. And she doesn't like the fact that on this particular day, he was playing with her grandson, so her daughter's child. So she saw Deandre playing with the daughter's child, which is her grandson, and she came over there and told Deandre to stop playing with the baby. something happened. There was some kind of disturbance, and she started screaming like a wild banshee. And that's when Jonathan Pentland hopped up off the couch and ran outside because he heard his buddy's wife screaming bloody murder. And the woman recording is Jonathan Pentland, who the soldier, that's his wife that's recording. Okay, so this woman right here you see in the screen is not Pentland's wife. That's his buddy's wife, his neighbor's wife, who was screaming like a wild banshee, bloody murder, and he hopped up and came out just off of that, off of instinct.
Go away right now.
Hey, they've already been called. They're just waiting. You know what? Maybe you should hang on a little longer. We'll see how it goes. Then we won't have to get the report by
What
ourselves.
is it you're doing here?
Then
Then
walk
walk.
out. Well, you've been here like 15 minutes now.
Let's go. Walk away.
Keep walking.
Walk away. Alright, walk away right now. You need help? You got this on camera. I'm happy to help you. I didn't hit you. There's a difference between
Pretty
pushing
sure you were the aggressor, buddy.
You're aggressing on the neighborhood.
Someone came running
Walk back.
You better walk away. You walk away. You're talking to my wife right now.
That's your wife?
Walk away.
I didn't
Walk away.
Your wife is speaking.
Check it out. You either walk away or I'm going to carry your ass out of here.
Do not touch
What do you want to do?
Better not touch me.
Or what? What are you going to do?
You walk on me.
Let's go. Walk away.
I didn't do anything.
I'm about to do something to you. You better start walking.
I didn't do anything to her.
You better start walking right now.
You come at me like that?
I ain't coming after you. You're in the wrong neighborhood, motherfucker. Get out. Get out. Where? Where's your house? What's your address?
Maybe we should walk you home.
Walk.
Oh, you bet. You want to bet what I can do?
I live here.
Okay,
Right
what's
now,
your
you're
address?
harassing the neighborhood.
I'm not harassing anyone walking in the neighborhood I live in.
Where? And check it out. We are a tight-knit community. We
How
take
long
care
have
of
you
each
been
other.
here? How long
A
have
hell of
you
a
been
lot longer than your ass, because I have never seen you before in my
How long
life.
have you been living here?
That's
Why does
none of
that
your
even
business.
matter to you?
How long have you been
It
living
doesn't
here?
matter. You know what? Get the hell out of my face. Get out of my face.
You walked up to me.
Check it out, motherfucker. I ain't playing with you. You either get your ass moving, or I'm gonna move you.
It's not from.
You want to bet? I'm about to show you what I can do. Better walk away. Walk away. Walk away.
I'm walking. You keep following me, sir.
There's only one way out of here. It's right over there.
Multiple ways out of here, sir.
You want to bet?
This guy's basically a drill sergeant, so he's used to talking to people like this. I know that you're probably thinking that he only talks to black people like this, but he talks to whoever his recruits are like this. And he went in the drill sergeant mode. I'm not giving him any excuse, but you can just tell he's a drill sergeant from the way he's talking, because the respect he demands, like he knows how to command respect. He knows how to, take charge, because when you get new recruits in the Army, you got to put them through, combat training, drill week, physical training. I forgot what they call that, but put them through hell week or whatever they call it, before they, can, be enlisted in the Army. And he's the guy that does that. So he's one of the guys that does that. That's why his language seems so abrasive and abusive, because he thinks he's talking to one of his recruits, but he's not. He's talking to a black man on the street, and it's being recorded by his wife. So it wasn't like they were trying to, somebody else recorded it and they got outed. No, they recorded it. They thought that was going to go over well. That goes to show you how out of touch some people are, that they recorded it themselves. Like his wife recorded it. That's his wife's phone who recorded it and uploaded it. Like, look, y'all, nah, you in the wrong climate, man, for that. But yeah, man, get in the comment section, man. Like, subscribe, donate. Peace. I'm out.